Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's conversation. I'm Enolia, and I'm here with my co host, Sara Jane. Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
And we have our special guest today, Patricia Watson. We're so happy to have you on the show, Patricia.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yes, and so we're coming to you from all over the world. We have Patricia in the United States and Sara Jane in the UK and myself here in Africa. So we're excited to be here with you. And today's topic is going to be about the power of making a decision. And we're so excited to have Patricia here with us to discuss that. So I'm going to start us off with a question, Patricia, which is, what is the foundation that one lays before even starting to initiate a serious decision?
Well, in my opinion, for me, my perspective on that is you have to start with yourself, right? You have to really look in that mirror and really look at you, not just a superficial, oh, hello there, right? And then go away. But set that intention with your heart. Listen to your heart. Ask your heart. Just sit, be still, and sit and ask yourself, what do I really want? What am I looking to do? And as I'm asking myself those questions, or as you ask yourself those questions, am I really ready for this truth? And am I really truly open for what will be exposed to me to take that journey? So I think truth and honesty with yourself before you even begin that journey, because it is a journey and it's not for the faint of heart.
Mm. Thank you. Sara Jane, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Be true to you. Feel into the decision. Really feel into it. It's like somebody asking you to you'll do something for them. And if you're a people pleaser the way I used to be, your immediate reaction is to say yes without even thinking about it. It's having that courage to say, can you give me a couple of hours, half a day, I'll come back to you, and feel into whether what they're asking is right for you. It isn't, is it right for them? It's, is it right for you? And actually, what is right for you is right for them. They may not like the answer if it's no, but it is the right answer for you both. And so whatever your decision, now I know some of us, when I decided to do gift of healing, do you know what? I just did it. So it was just like, I'm going to do this. There was no extra thought around it. So there are going to be those times you make a decision in the spur of the moment. But then it's being true to you. So if you've gone and said yes to somebody, hopefully you're going to at least honor some of that and not let them down. But it's also, okay, fine, this isn't going to work. And honesty to go back as quickly as possible if other people are involved. And so making a decision to me is actually about honesty with yourself and other people. Enolia.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree with both of you more. And, I really had to sit back and think about this because, we talk about making a decision and the power of making a decision, but what we don't do is we relate it back to what is life? And life is nothing but a series of decisions that we've made. So what it made me cause to do is to step back and to say, okay, throughout my life, where am I for decision making? And what I mean by that is that if I just had a traumatic event, am I making all of my decisions based on pain? If I just had abandonment take place in my life? Am I making a decision, or all of my decisions, based on trauma? Where am I making that decision? How am I making that decision? And what mindset am I in? Because what is life but the series of decisions that we're making every single day, every moment of the day? And many of us aren't present for our decisions.
Right.
We're not present, or we're making them out of a place of pain. Or, when we are making decisions and we feel strong and powerful and whatnot, well, does that mean that we've done our work? And I'm going to leave it loose like this to kind of let you all chime in. So, Patricia, what do you think?
I agree 100%. I mean, when you were just referring to all of those examples, I'm literally playing back reels of those movie clips in my life of those exact situations where I made the best decision at the time. But here's the caveat to that. I made the best decision at the time, but there was still something, as I reflect right now, there was still something in my soul that I knew it was not the right decision and that I was not present, but that was too uncomfortable. It's like going to the clutter closet. There's clutter in there, but you don't want to open up the door. It's easier just to take it, throw it in there real quick, and shut it really fast. Right? And so, like, literally when you were saying that, I'm like, yes, I've done that. But here's the thing. What I'm happy to honor myself is the fact that even though I made the best decision at the time with those moments, even knowing my soul's truth, I was out of alignment with, what I'm grateful for is that I still had the capacity to know that there's more truth there and to continue to search and to continue to be open to that power of making a decision, saying, how bad do I really want this truth for myself? How bad do I really want to expand? How bad do I really want to evolve? How bad do I really want to grow? How deep is that for me, for that to have that deep connection to life, to live a free life, right? And so I'm very grateful that there was still that inner, just deep want to be more and to explore more, that I got to the point where I could make that decision, not in a place of pain, not in a place of abandonment, not in a place from having been assaulted, whatever that pain or whatever that truth is for you, to now be in this beautiful space, to be conscious and mindful, and now attracting all of these beautiful, wonderful people that are allowing me to make the best decisions for the best version of me. So it's very powerful to see that journey. So thank you for saying that, because just watching that movie, it was like literally the movie reel was like this. I was like, wow, yes, but look where I'm at now. So very grateful and honored here just to be with two super human beings from a love perspective. And that's the power of making a decision as well because of that journey. So I'm very grateful and thank you.
Thank you, Sara Jane.
And it's a real pleasure to have these conversations. That was a decision Enolia and I made over a year ago now.
That's right.
To have these conversations. But we can only make, and you touched on this, Patricia, we can only make decisions with the information we have at the time. Mm-hmm. And there are times we have to make a decision so that we can move forward and learn more. Now, maybe if we'd had that extra information, we wouldn't have made that decision, but we didn't have it. So, people talk about mistakes. I don't believe there is a mistake. I don't believe in that word per se, because how can you have made a mistake when you can only have made that decision, that choice, from the information you had? And let's put it this way, you can only go so far as saying, I can't make a decision, I don't believe I've got all the information. You would never, ever, ever make a decision because you are never, ever going to have all the information. Plus the fact that the information you have is from your perspective, from your understanding, from your experiences. And somebody else could read that information totally differently. So you're not making a mistake. You can only make the best decision you can for yourself at the time with the information you have. Yes, if you can avoid making decisions while you're in pain, you're feeling hurt, even when you're really, really happy, every enhanced feeling can actually lead you to making a decision you wouldn't have necessarily made. But that's life.
So go ahead.
I just said, I'll leave it at that. Over to you.
So I'm sitting here thinking, and it's just like, okay, I made a decision. You know, I thought it was the best decision. And then I realized that I made that decision out of pressure of the fact that what's good for me is great. But a lot of us are martyrs, and we put people in front of us, and we put our kids in front of us, and we put our families in front of us, and we don't value what we bring to the table in our own authenticity, equal value to the impact of those that we love. And I want to talk about backtracking decisions. I want to talk about the fact that I made a decision. I realized it wasn't a good decision because the pressure or the potentiality of hurting someone or whatever it was that I knew deep down in my heart, I was compromising. And I realized it wasn't the right decision. Our capability of backtracking and saying, you know what? I know I made this decision. It wasn't a good one. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm pulling back. And what type of strength it takes to pull back, and the fact that how do we learn to honor ourselves and pulling back that decision and correcting it. And I'm going to go to you, Patricia, because I know that you have some methodologies, and I want you to share some of these things.
Sure. And you know, that's very powerful, right? When you really stop and let that resonate, what you just said, what you just asked, the power just in that is so intense. The truth in that is so intense, because then you're not honoring yourself. So one of the things that I have learned, that I do actually, when you've made a decision and it's compromised too, well, then people, they have a tendency to get defensive because they're just the human nature. We're not in, they're in that space of all their emotions coming up. And you also have to be mindful that you're not always dealing with people that are actively doing the work, right? So you have to be mindful of that. One of the things is also having a support system that's in alignment with your core values, so that you have that support, that when you're going to make that decision and you recognize that, then there's strength in numbers with having that concept of support. One of the things that I learned early on as far as projections, I do the mirror, where I feel like I'm in a capsule, and when it happens, I go.
I love this.
Okay, so that mirror now is reflecting themselves. So you're protected in your capsule. That projection is not you, and they have to look at themselves. So if you can do that, and I physically do it, and I do make the noise so that the impact is there, that I let them know, because for me it was powerful, because I could stand in my truth and say, listen, yes, I made that decision, but that is not what I want to do moving forward. You say it from a love perspective because you're protected in your capsule. You're honoring your truth. You're standing in your own ability and your own power, your frequency. And then anything that comes, they're looking at themselves. And then you're not in control of that. You've given them the same same ability and courage if they choose to take that and make a decision.
And I just have to interject, Patricia. I want you to give us an example of this. This is powerful stuff, because I've witnessed you doing this, and it was powerful. It made you pause, step back, and think about what you said and how it was projected on, and that it was a judgment that I had no
100%.
business saying, or that a person hasn't no business saying. And you physically have something that makes them think right at that moment. So can you just share an experience or an example of that?
Yeah, I'll give you an example of that. You know, it's really kind of funny, because even when I was in the corporate world, they always knew when this came up what was happening, and they were like, "Oh no," right? But here's the thing, you know, as we grow, right, and as we change, the world around us changes, right? In order to change people, we can change people by changing people, and so I had a situation where I had to disconnect, and it wasn't received well. And so they started with, you know, attacks and saying things that weren't true at all. And so I was like, oh, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. I understand that's how you feel, but you are not putting any of that on me. That is on you. You need to look at yourself, because you're not talking about me. You're talking about yourself. And then you just let the reflection reflect, because they can't say anything. And there's immense power in that. So all of those words, all of those things that would have normally been a trigger for me, you just eliminate it, because you have to turn. It's like you have to ask yourself, Byron Katie, I don't know if anyone's familiar with her work, but she asked those questions. Is it true? Right? So is what they're saying true? It's not. It's true if you believe it to be true about yourself, but if you're doing the work and as you're growing and expanding, you know it's not. So it's like, initiate, capsule, initiate, and here you go. And it works.
Thank you so much, Sara Jane.
I love that, because it is when you've turned around to somebody and said no, and it's going back also to that word selfish. All right, somebody's asked you to do something and you've gone, no, okay, that really isn't for me. I can't do it. Something else is in place. You know, if you've had the time to think about it, if they're saying, no, you've got to give me an answer now. If you've been in people pleaser mode, you're going to say yes, regardless of how you feel. But this is where I was saying just now about honesty. If you suddenly think, actually, the answer's no, not yes, you've got to be honest if you've pushed. So this is what you're talking about. But it's also, if somebody then turns around and says things like, God, you are being selfish. Actually, who's the one being selfish here? Me for being true to me, or you for telling me I've got to do something that goes totally against the grain for me, that you're maybe not even doing for yourself? And who am I hurting here by saying no? Actually, the truth is, no can be the biggest gift to hear. Because if it's going to make you stand on your own 2 feet, that's me hearing somebody say no to me saying no to somebody else. Because the people pleaser in me that has, bless her, been brought very much under control. Not totally probably, but she's very much under control. The people pleaser in me would have always said yes regardless. But now it's, actually, I'm a Sarah pleaser. Not because I'm being selfish, it's because I'm honoring who I am. And as a people pleaser, I held 2 people back. I held myself back because I couldn't go and do the things that I would love to have done for me. That growth, that involvement, that evolving into the being I am today. And I'm holding the individual I've just said yes to back, because I'm not the right person for them to be working with, doing whatever with. I'm not. It's just that I've always said yes, so they think I'm going to, oh, she'll say yes, she'll do it. Or he, guys, this isn't just about women, this is about you too. So the selfish one is the one who's expecting you to do what goes against the grain for you. The person who, well, you've got something else, well, just cancel that, you've got this to do. No, that is actually really important to me.
Right.
That's for me. That's for my growth. That's my work. That's me earning some money. You have no idea what they're asking. They have no idea what they're asking. It's just inconvenient to them. So it's that honesty to self, but it's honesty to them. And so I love this. Yes, mirrors are great. What they are saying has got nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. Yeah. And if it means turning around and walking away, absolutely do it. And I've had a friend in the past, and she was somebody that, boy, the energies, I hadn't realised how much of a bloodsucker she was. Bless her. And I let her, because I wasn't sufficiently out of people-pleasing mode. And eventually just some simple words got said, and she went up and she tried to turn my whole group of friends that I'd introduced her to against me. But they'd known me longer, and they knew me better, and they didn't listen. So there are many blessings to be had. It was very sad for her. It didn't stop me from feeling sad for her. But boy, I actually took a holiday just to get away from her. It is. It's that essential to make decisions that are powerful for you.
Yeah. And, I'm sitting here thinking about this too. And one of the key things that I love when that takes place is that you learn not to give away your power. Because what you've done is you've deflected the projection, you put it back on the person who made it. And so you don't make an untruth your truth. And by not making an untruth your truth and buying into it wholeheartedly, you've kept and stood in your power the whole time. And that is so important. Not to give away your power, to say, you know what, that's your stuff. That's your baggage. I'm not going to deal with it. You need to think about what you did. And by the way, that's your story, not mine. Here's mine. Here's how I'm going to proceed. Thank you very much. Let's move on. And on that note, I'd like to introduce something else.
Before you do, Patricia, you're having real problems with your throat. Is there something you really feel should be said, however uncomfortable it may be?
Well, this is also the power of making a decision, because I have made a decision to commit to doing the work for myself, the work for excelling at the highest level. As a result of that, pardon me, there's been a lot of clearing going on.
That's right.
And so I'm honoring all of that. And pardon me, I'm not going to, I don't want to disrupt the broadcast, but I'm honoring what this is. I'm honoring this energy. This is part of, this clearing is part of me doing the work.
Patricia, can I make a suggestion? And I know this isn't really how we would go with these programs, but folks, it feels right. Would you like me to do some sound for your throat to see whether that helps?
Yes, go ahead. I think
It's been Patricia's choice.
I just want to make it clear that this is a beautiful thing. This is this is really powerful. So I'm not. The answer is yes.
Okay, so my suggestion is just relax as much as you can. If you need to keep coughing, then do it. Invite your roots down into Mother Earth. Just let your roots go down into Mother Earth, deep into Mother Earth, and she's sending her love and her protection up through your roots into your whole body, totally surrounding and protecting you. This is not about what you hear, it is about what you feel. And I hold the intention for the highest good. The sound for you, Patricia. How's that feeling?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pass to Enolia for the minute.
Yes, and let me just talk about this for a moment too, which is that in our lives, every step of the way, we make decisions. Sometimes we make good decisions, sometimes we don't make such good decisions. The course of our life is shaped based on what we've interacted with, how our life proceeds, what we're born into, what our belief system is. All of these things play a different role and factors into how we make a decision, how we shape our decisions, how we gestate our decisions. Are you a person that makes a decision right away, snappy, got to make a move, got to change, got to do something very, very quickly? Or are you a person that can sit with the decision, you know, look at it from every direction, literally gestate, literally just hold it, and to make sure that before you make a move, it is the very, very best move that you can make and that it resonates with you, it feels good with you and everything. So understanding that all of those pieces and components and parts make up the decision, how does a person transition from knowing that the way or the course of their life is going, they haven't been making good decisions, to, I would like to make better decisions. I would like to change the course of my life. I would like to shift my life. And I would like to make better decisions. Now, when I look at that, for me, how I make a decision in terms of being at peace, being calm, doing my work, you know, doing it from a place where I'm at peace versus doing it from a place where, you know, let's say the fear, the trauma, the pain, the circumstance, the hopelessness and everything plays a factor into my life versus saying, I'm going to take myself out of that story and I'm going to make better decisions in my life. And by taking myself out of that story, or by confronting that story to say, is the story true or not in the first place? And then if knowing that it's not, removing myself from that role so that I can make decisions not based on the fact that I had fear or this happened to me before, so it's going to happen again. So I have to make the decision tapered on the fact that it can't happen again. But what am I doing ultimately but inviting that energy right back into the decision? All of those things play a role. So how does one, quote unquote, do their work? And how does one make better decisions in their life? And Patricia, I'll hand that over to you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for, I know that was out of the norm, but thank you for all of that. I appreciate that. It was beautiful. Thank you.
We do that anyway. She does that too. So you're special, just like we love our guests.
I do appreciate it. But that's also the power of making a decision, the power of choice, right? We have a choice. We always have a choice, no matter what, right? Our ego will say we don't have a choice. That's just refusing to acknowledge the truth, right? So I look at it like, for myself, especially as I've migrated and done so much work, right? And I'm getting every day getting to a more beautiful space. I just keep elevating, taking those steps. If you have to take a step in the 5 seconds that you have, use that 5 seconds to make it the best 5 seconds for that decision and just sit with it. So I have now, especially in the last probably 60 days for sure, I look at it where I have two entities. I have myself, and then I have the new me, and how am I integrating the two, where it's integrating peacefully, it's integrating where this self, the old self, they want to stay in the land of comfort, but the new self is like, no, I like this power over here, I like this freedom, I like this peace, I like this harmony, I like this unity, so I honor you where you're at. However, if you want to integrate here and stay in a peaceful state, you are going to have to work with me, and we're going to work together. And I'm going to honor you because I know that's the space that you're in. That's what you've been taught. That's all you know. But this space is so much better, and it doesn't have to be this difficult. So let's work together. Let's honor each other. And when it gets to the point where you're feeling uncomfortable, let's just sit with it. Let's go meditate. Let's go to the park. Let's put on sound, whatever we have to do, because I'm going to help you integrate in a non-evasive way that's peaceful, that's harmonious to both our spirits, so that now we are one, we're connected. And eventually that will just fall off because you're going to be in the new body, the new space, the new life. It's worked, and it's been very powerful for me.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well stated. Sara Jane.
This, to me, is feeling a little like the inner child work. That hurt, traumatized aspect of yourself. Those things that you've disconnected aspects of you because of hurt and pain, because you've been told off, especially if you feel very insecure. And yes, I was very, very insecure. And for me, the way I've done the work is to connect with and reconnect those aspects of me into the person I am today. And as that younger me has become happier, has felt listened to, has felt heard, has felt loved, she happily comes back into being a part of me. And so that change in me from where I was 25 years ago to where I am today, for me, is that bringing in every aspect of me happy and confident That is how I can be happy and confident, because I have very few memories of my younger years, because I was such an unhappy child. Why would I want to remember it? I was hurting. And you can, and the decisions you make, is it a decision or is it about a reaction? Because when you are in that place, it's a learned behavior. How have I reacted when that similar type thing has happened before? You have a learned behavior. That first time you react becomes your learned behavior. And when you start becoming more comfortable with yourself, you can actually almost stop yourself. Okay, this is happening again. Maybe I should look at how I've always reacted. The decision I've always made is exactly the same. It's a reaction. And maybe I should be looking at, this is when a real decision comes in. You're deciding to change your behavior from the insecurities that you've always reacted from. And no, it isn't easy. But there are techniques and practices out there. This has all been part of my journey. And there's an amazing technique, but it's very much a hands-on technique called metamorphic technique, which helps change the energy pathways in your body so you can get rid of old, unwanted behaviors that don't serve you any purpose anymore. Because I think in some respects, here, this is what we're talking about. It's those old, unwanted behaviors that create within us that making of a decision that actually doesn't serve us anymore. So we're taking steps back as to where we were. And is that child in you still hurt and crying and feeling detached from you? But there are many techniques that can support I seem to keep tripping over everything. Inner child work. If that's not what you want to call it, but it is about reconnecting every aspect of you happy so that you take back your power, because while you're in disconnect, your power is scattered. So I have that feeling that in your own way, that's the type of thing you're talking about. I just look at it slightly differently. Carry on.
Yes, so it's interesting because we all approach it slightly differently based on our backgrounds, based on our practices, based on exposures, based on so many different things. And see, for me, it's a wheel of personalities. Inner child is just one of the many different wheels that we carry, because there's my courageous woman, there's my angry woman, and she's grown up. It's not the inner child. But then there's my child. My child can be destructive, and then my child can be tantrumy also, But then there's also, some of us are grown adults and we're in victim mode, and we like to make decisions from that point. Oh, woe is me. And some of us are grown adults and we like to play the rescuer. And then other of us like to play the perpetrator, who just kind of teases the rescuer and teases the victim all across the board. So, I think that part of this is understanding who's showing up for you. And then when we also talk about the power of decision making, we also need to acknowledge that there is a moment in time that we're at, here and now. And what decisions we made yesterday are gone forever unless we remember them and bring them forward and bring that storyline forward and then place ourselves back in that storyline, repeating it again. But that we have the power of understanding that if we're in the here and now, history does not have to repeat itself. Now, it's interesting that our behaviors lend towards patterning. So whether it's the inner child was hurt and that pattern leads us right back to the same scenario, maybe different circumstances, but more or less the same pattern, same scenario. You know, what do we call it? Different crap, same day. You know. But so I would ask, what are the tips that you have to the best decision making that you can make or be? What would be the tips that you would tell somebody?
Well, I mean, I think one of the most important ones is to always honor yourself at the highest level when you are about to make that decision, and ask yourself, is this what I really want? Is this what I'm really striving for? And journaling is a big thing. You know, if you can't express yourself audibly, you know, writing your thoughts down, you can learn a lot about yourself as you go back and you see the patterns. I'm writing the same thing and there's no change in anything, right? Because I keep saying the same thing, but I'm not implementing and putting any action, you know, and executing what I'm saying that I want. So are you just saying, are you here or are you hearing, right? We hear, but we're not here. So being mindful of that, and being able to, you know, go to a peaceful place and don't rush you. Understand who you really are, and don't rush it. If you have to go and ground, if you have to go in nature, if you have to put on some music, find out what that new trigger for you to be in that space, what triggers you to get you to dial in to what makes your heart expand to be able to make that decision. You still have to figure out who you are. That's really critical.
Thank you.
The thought that came to me was, start with giving yourself permission and the power with simple decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Daily decisions. You know, from the time of getting up, and are you going to sort of say prayers, or are you going to do a meditation, or are you going to do some exercises? Whatever it is, what are you going to eat? What times are you going to eat? Make conscious thought about the daily decisions. And don't just, right, I'm going to get up. Think about it. Give yourself permission to take one step at a time with simple decisions, so that you find yourself being more confident when bigger decisions come up. Because it's a matter for all of us, I think, of starting somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, this is all about big stuff, start with the little stuff. Because literally, we make a decision all the time. I've just made the decision to pick up the glass and have a sip of water. It's a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is a decision. But so much of it we do without even thinking. So maybe if we allow ourselves the chance to think about some of the daily decisions, we build our confidence in our ability to make a decision, so that we can then grow with the bigger decisions of our life.
I love that, Sara Jane, and I'm going to just take it one more step a little bit further, in the respect that I think that we need to be conscious of all of our decisions, and that means being present. And so I make this akin to taking your shoes off. When your shoes are off and you're walking across the grass, the concrete, you're watching every single step, because what happens? You don't want to step on something incorrectly. You don't want to hurt your foot. You don't want, if the road is too hard, you know that you need to tread softly. If the road is if the road is soft, you know that you can walk more diligently. But we're conscious of every step that we make. So I'm going to say this. I would say notice. Notice how you make decisions. Notice is if when you're making a decision, are you actually present? Because a lot of times we're not present for the decisions we make. We make decisions so unconsciously. We look up, we've made 3, 4, 5 decisions, and our mind's way off in the future of what else we have to do. And we just, because of it's not even a decision, it's a habit. It's habitual. And those things that are habits and habitual are the patterns we need to break up. Because when you make a different choice or a decision, you get a different outcome. And if you want to shift your life, you need to start acknowledging and noticing the fact that you're making decisions mindlessly. Step back, pause, and make a different decision. And I really want to emphasize the power of pausing, which is don't give an answer back right away. Don't react to the phone right away. Pause and say, I'll get back to you after I think about it for a little bit. Pause and basically said, you know what? It doesn't serve me to make this decision now. I'm going to let it go for a little while. I'll make it in an hour. I'll make it in 15 minutes. I'll make it in 5 minutes. But slow down. Notice. Pause. Be present. Have clarity. Know where you're making that decision from my heart, from a painful place, from traumatic places. And when I say that, it's so important. You know, if you had trauma in your life as a child, and then you never let any of your children do anything because you had trauma, and so you're projecting that onto them, and they may have problems. It's not that they do have problems. It's the potentiality of it is where the decision is coming from. And is that a correct and good one? Are you turning around and attracting something right back because of the place of where you're making that decision? So there's a lot to think about here. There's depth in every decision that we make, we speak, we embark on, we approach when a door opens. And to be fully present is the beginning to me. So there's a lot. There's just a lot here. And I'm looking at the time. We're coming up shortly on an hour. So at this point, what I want to ask is, what else would you want your audience to hear right here now about this topic? You just do share. And just leave it wide open. What is it that you would want to leave them with about the power of making a decision? And I just give you a moment to think about that, because that's a big question. And then Patricia, when you're ready. Or Sara Jane, if you want to take it.
I would just say, trust yourself. Believe in yourself. Have faith in yourself. And love yourself. Come from the place of your heart. For me, our heart is our connection to our soul. Our soul is the connection to source. There are times when we have to get out of our head and into our heart. And what's the saying? Follow your heart, but don't leave your head behind, or is it follow your head? Yeah, whatever. But it's just, but it really is. It's trust what feels right for you. And I know that more and more people are expressing the importance of this. But most of us weren't raised with this. And it's very difficult to go from being, hang on a second, no, I'm meant to please everybody else and I don't even come at the bottom of the list. It's important that we don't hurt anybody else, but we are true to ourselves.
No, that's beautiful. For me, I was just sitting here thinking of just understanding how powerful we really are, and the liberation and the freedom that we have in making those decisions, and looking in that mirror and saying, you know what, Sara Jane, you know what, Enolia, you know what, Patricia, you are magnificent. I am so proud of you. Just look what you're doing, and just understand just that liberating freedom that comes through your soul as you're saying that thing to yourself, right? And understanding the fact that I did this. Oh my God, check. I'm going to reward myself as well for making something that may seem simple, but that is so profoundly powerful. It doesn't get any more beautiful than that. And just recognizing that beauty and honoring yourself, like you said, love yourself.
Beautiful. For me, I would say the number one thing is to listen. Listen to your soul's calling. Listen to your heart while that decision is being made. Does it feel right and in alignment? Do you need to take the leap and make a different choice? Are you afraid of just making a different decision? Because the outcome is so familiar. It's like an old shoe, and it's worn and it feels comfortable, and it's easier to just go down this way because you know what the outcome could be. Listen to your heart. It will always want to do more than what your ego wants you to do, because your ego is your comfort zone. Listen to your soul. If something's missing every single time you're making a decision, then you're not in alignment. And when we bypass what our soul and our heart are trying to tell us, we're not living in our truth and our authenticity. So listen, feel, allow, pause, all those things, plus what you said. Of the beautiful things that the power of decision making can really, really shape our lives. So I want to thank Patricia, and I want to give her a moment because she is a practitioner. She does take clients, and we want to give her an opportunity to share. How can people get in contact with you if they want to connect with you for your work?
Yeah, so I believe Sara Jane said that I'll send you the information so that you can also post it. But my email address is the best way, patricia@patriciamwatson.com. And when you send me the information, it will also send you back a link so that I can respond back to you in a timely fashion.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Sara Jane, I turn it over to you because you're hosting the next guest.
I'm hosting the next program with the next guest. Yes. Yes. In 2 weeks' time, well, Wednesday, the 22nd of September. Sorry, my microphone's in the way and I can't see what I've got written on it. So I am concentrating on what you're saying, but I'm trying to read it. So today's conversation on the 22nd of September, Wednesday evening, 7:30 p.m. BST, British Summer Time. And so that's, oh yes, it's 11:30 a.m. PDT Pacific Time. So yeah, just give people a little bit of a sense of when it is. And our guest is Danica Carruthers, and we're going to be talking about transcending your pain into power. And so I'm really looking forward to this. I connected with Danica several years ago, and she was a guest on Gift of Healing TV when a new book of hers came out. So she's an author as well, and we'll learn a little bit more about Danica. But so please feel free to join us for that. It's all of this is on my website, well, my Gift of Healing TV website and Enolia's website. giftofhealingtv.com, and there's a heading that says today's conversation. You will find an upcoming page. You will find the page where you can find all our guests' bios and links, and you will also find a catch-up page so you can watch all of these programs. They're all free and they're all there for you to watch. So
absolutely,
we've had some brilliant guests on. And we've got more brilliant guests to come. So. I don't.
Sara Jane, they can find that on enolia.live also.
Enolia.live, brilliant. And
yeah,
and that's why we do this. It's not a sales pitch thing. It's we share a conversation. But if you would like to get in contact with any of us, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you will find the links for all of us under the website. So yes, do let me make sure I've got those, Patricia, so that I can make sure that we are sharing for you. Because I think it's really important. So thank you, folks. Thank you to both our beautiful guests, Patricia, and to my co-host, Enolia, for joining us for this program. I hope that it has spoken to you, and please don't hesitate to connect with us. giftofhealingtv@gmail.com. If that's the easiest thing for you to do, post a comment on the website. Please feel free to do that. I get notified of all comments because I have to authorize them. And if you'd rather it wasn't actually put out to the world, just say, please keep private. And you can have private responses from, just let me know who, and we'll do that for you. Because for us, I think it's important. We're here to touch your lives and support you from the journeys we've had ourselves. So hopefully something that one of us has said has resonated with you. Thank you to both of you, and to those of you that have watched live, and those of you that watch the replay, whenever that may be. Love, peace and light to you all. Namaste, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.